They say dudes in college turn into one of these four people. I feel like I was every single one of those at some point.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
YOLO, message from the future. Yeah, so initially I made this a year ago, but by the time I was ready it was like October, November, and I was like, it's way out of season. It's like college already started, so I'll shelf it for the next year. And here we are, and even now it's a little bit late. Ideally I would have wanted to get this out in June or something, but you know, I can't shelf it for another year, so August might be still pushing it, but here we go. You there, right there, you're 17, 18 years old and you're about to go into college. So jealous of you. You have so much potential. You're about to enter a new world with new people, new opportunity, new social circles, a chance to fully like reinvent yourself. Like, this is golden. Don't waste it on depression, self-deprecation and laziness like I did. Excuse me for being the 25-year-old thinker meme there, but if I knew everything that I knew now back then, I would do things so differently. Obviously I'm grateful for everything leading me here and whatnot, yeah, but like, if I could snap my fingers and go back in time and do things all over again, change things, and have things still like relatively work out really well, like I'm not dead or paralyzed, then I would be the first one on that time machine ticket. I struggled big time in college. I was out of my depth for a lot of it. I couldn't study or focus well or learn much for about the first 2 to 3 years. I ended up having to repeat a year, fail a year. I was in like a very high-end, extremely demanding, like professional degree. So yeah, basically failed a year, repeated a year. Couldn't like study well, didn't know how to study well, couldn't like discipline myself well at all. I'd say for a good 2 years. Okay, so I know what you're thinking.
Okay, so he wasn't that great academically. That must mean he was at least a Chad with a bopping social life and was going to loads of parties and was the most popular guy on campus, right?
That side of my life only really took off after I left college, basically from just doing the things that I'm gonna outline now. So these are the things that I would 100% go back and do differently if I was to go back and start college all over again as a 17, 18-year-old man. Number one, new identity. So assuming right now where you are, like you're in your school years, like high school, secondary school years, I'm assuming you weren't popular, like you were kind of like the ugly duckling beta male type of person. Like you weren't attractive, you weren't popular, didn't have many friends, and like there's just this kind of identity, this sort of personality of you, that perception of you, of being this like non-confident loser type person. And that's how you see yourself, that's how others see you, that's your identity. If you like suddenly tried to, for example, absolutely reinvent yourself now, change everything about you, get into the gym, get jacked, you know, better body language, you change your speaking style to be more confident, you change your body language to be more confident, did a bunch of looks maxing, changed your hair, made yourself more attractive, that's not really gonna work if you're still in your old environment of school. Like if you're still in school, it's gonna be a lot harder to make that work because the social circles you're in, the people you're around, they already have this ingrained perception of you, this identity of yours as the loser. So the people will be able to see right through that and they'll be like, why is he all of a sudden acting like that? And then they'll push you back down to where you belong, essentially. Like if for years you were seen as this timid, shy, uncool kind of dude, all of a sudden out of nowhere you're like, yeah, look at me, I'm so cool, I'm an alpha male, look at my body language, I'm walking confidently, I'm speaking really well. People are just gonna be like, what the f is this fool doing? But you're now going to college. It's a whole new world with a bunch of new people that don't know you, don't have any like kind of preconceived notions of you. You don't have like an identity in the eyes of other people. You might still have it in the eyes of yourself, obviously, and that'll take a lot, probably more to fix. But again, it's a new world. Don't make the same mistake I did of just being the exact same person I was in secondary school, not changing anything about myself, not kind of improving or working to try and present a new person to the world, and just thinking, oh yeah, I wasn't popular in school and didn't really have that great of a social life, but this time it'll be different. I'll be and do the exact same things, you can actually almost overnight become a new person. Like, charismatic, attractive, you can almost overnight have that glow up when you're going into a new environment to try and kind of plant down a new identity, a new kind of set of first impressions. If you just go in with the intention of being a new person, like get in shape, go to the gym, get a new haircut, do a bunch of looks maxing, but definitely go to the gym and get in shape, get really, like, you know, trim down any fat, get really lean, train really hard, have this kind of personality and identity of like a jock type athlete type of person. Train your body language, train to have confident body language, train social skills, train dating skills, read How to Win Friends and Influence People the summer before you go into college. Train your speaking skills, record your self-talk, and then train to improve that. The summer's nearly over now, isn't it? But so the summer, the 2 to 3 months, or even if you've already started college, like it's probably a lot of people are already starting now, around now. Even if you've already started, try and commit. So even if you've already started, it's still early days, you can still do a lot of change now to try and plant a new identity. There's still a lot of people you haven't met, and there's still a lot of societies you haven't joined. But ideally, like the month or the 2 months, 3 months before you start college, that's when you really should sort of commit yourself. Commit yourself to training in the gym, improving your body, improving your appearance, buying nicer, tighter, or not tighter, but nicer fitting clothes, depending on your style, whichever one you want, like whichever style you want. You want tighter fitting, looser fitting, and then start reading about social skills, dating skills, attraction skills, and like just that kind of thing. Start kind of doing a bit of research and learning about those kind of things. So if you're in your early days now, or if this is just before you're about to start college, trust me, this is golden advice. You will likely never get an opportunity like this ever again. This is a new environment, a new place that's geared for social interactions, with hundreds of like clubs and societies and events that are specifically geared for the purpose of social interaction around thousands of other people your age. So you're gonna have hundreds of opportunities to meet people, make friends, date, meet girls and stuff. And you're just gonna be constantly surrounded by people your age. You won't get anything like this ever again. School was one of those opportunities. College is like school on steroids for that kind of thing. But then after that, it's done. Once you leave that and you graduate, you're in work and you've left that environment, it's over, really. I mean, no, it's not over. Like, I don't want to be a doomer. Like, it's not over, but like, it's a completely different ball game. Because like in work, you're not going to be in that kind of environment again. Like once you graduate and you're working, you'll have like 1 or 2 opportunities here and there to like meet a couple of people and interact with a couple of new people. You'll be working around a bunch of older, middle-aged people who all have kids and stuff. Like, you're not going to be around a bunch of people your own age again. Depends on where you're working, I guess. But as a general rule, college is kind of the last place where you're just going to be constantly in an environment with a bunch of social events happening weekly. As I said, I've already kind of like, I failed a year, I had to repeat a year. I didn't know how to study for about 2 years. I ended up spending a total of 6 years in college, basically. So I hated studying my days at school. Like, I wasn't a very academically inclined child. I wasn't good at academics or at studying or anything like that. And obviously being from like an Arab immigrant background, this was absolutely unacceptable to my parents. And it was always kind of like a source of tension there, like studying in school and academics and stuff. There was like a lot of arguing and crying and pressure and tension and even hitting sometimes over this kind of thing, because there was so much expectation, even from like the days of primary school, especially like having doctor parents. That kind of changes things. So I managed to squeeze my way into this kind of high-end course that I got into, thanks to a lot of money spent by my parents to go to a very high-end private grind school for my leaving cert. And surprise, surprise, when you put a not very academically inclined student into a very high-end, intense, professional college degree, they're gonna struggle. So during my final year, it got really bad. I hated my life so much that I actually remember walking up to there was this specific moment. It was like after I was studying in the library until like 10, 11 p.m. and I just remember in the city centre, leaving the college, going up to like the Liffey and just contemplating jumping in and ending it all. I was never going to actually do anything because I'm a pussy, but like realistically, that's not a good place to be in. Like I was meant to go to the bus stop. I actually diverted my way from the bus stop to go there and just looked down thinking, do you know what if? But of course, nothing, not to be dramatic, nothing was ever gonna actually happen, but like, so anyway, I could not figure out how to study for like 2 to 3 years. Like this kind of transition adjustment from like the school type of studying where you just basically learn and memorize everything in the book or in the whatever notes that the teacher basically gives you. This time you actually have to kind of read a book and parse through irrelevant information and just pick out and like kind of make your own curriculum essentially. Because the lectures are shite and you can't rely on lecture slides alone to kind of cover all the information. Anytime I would try and read books, I would lose focus almost immediately. I would still have this mindset of trying to learn everything in the book, and it obviously wouldn't work because those books are fucking dense and you're not meant to like learn the whole book. I'd try writing down notes and it would take me 3 hours to do one chapter that others would do in 40 minutes. So the lack of progress and the moving slowly led to me losing a lot of focus and just losing motivation and not being able to commit myself, because I'd just become demotivated and just stop studying because I wasn't making progress. It took me 3 years to finally like figure out the most effective way for me to study. So I got a set of notes done up by previous year students. So if you can get in touch with, you know, older students in your course who passed and did well, that'll be great. They'll usually have like all the previous year, like for them, the older students will usually have like all the previous year's notes that they've done typed up and like in a drive somewhere. That drive is usually circulating amongst students. And passed down generation to generation. At least that's what it was like for us. They are perfect. They have everything you need to know, just the stuff you need to know, bullet points, very concise, and just trimmed down extremely well. So print those out and just study from them, learn from them. You can write little additions here and there, like kind of ad-lib notes. And ever since I started doing that kind of system with the older student notes printed out and just using those notes and having a pen in my hand to underline and highlight, I'd never failed an exam since. And I never even struggled with one really ever since. But it took 2 to 3 years to finally figure out how to actually navigate things. But once I did, I was sorted. Number 3, gym. So my biggest regret in all of life is not starting the gym early. You know, just before college or even just slightly after I started college would have been perfect. This is again part of the whole creating a new identity thing that I kind of spoke about in the first point, but I feel like this specifically needs its own category, because as far as I'm concerned, I should have started lifting from the beginning or even before college. I should have started looks maxing from then. That summer before college is when I should have started my transformation. Imagine if I had started then. For those 2 or 3 months I would have had some level of like noob gains that I would have gone in and started Freshers Week with. Imagine like going in and starting that chapter of my life with that feeling of confidence and an upward trajectory that would have come from that progress in the gym. That level of confidence would have helped with this new identity that I would have kind of been trying to craft at that point. So then when I would have gone into college, I would have actually gone in and like stuck to the habit or built the habit effectively, rather than the mess of what actually happened, which was I waited until after I started college, and then when I started going to the gym, but then it was this whole mess of like going very inconsistently for like 4 years. So if during that summer before college, where I would have had lots of free time, I actually committed and started going to the gym, by the time I started college and gotten like busy, I would have already had the habit built and solidified. So then I would have just stayed consistent in it, rather than the mess of the first 4 years of my training, where I started it in college but didn't make any progress because I was inconsistent as fuck for 4 years. So yeah, I wasted time for 4 years, and it took me 4 years, as I spoke about, it took me 4 years before I was eventually able to properly become consistent in the gym. And by the time I started being consistent in the gym and actually made progress, the college was over by that point. I think it was like the end of my final year by that point. Like, it was practically over. And the worst part is I actually had the intention of starting the gym that summer before college. I remember I actually did have the intention, but I just didn't. Why? I don't know. I wasn't even doing anything. That's the annoying part. Literally just wasting time. Stop playing FIFA all day, stop fapping all day and watching YouTube, and actually go lift some weights, bruv. I'm just thinking, like, imagine how much bigger I could have been right now. Like, how much more progress I could have made if I had actually just started like 4 years earlier. If I had 4 years of consistent progress, I would probably be at my peak right now. If I had started at like 17, 18 years old, when when my body would have been at its most primed to grow and put on muscle. Like 17, 18 is probably the easiest time of your whole life for like recovery and building muscle and stuff. And how much better my college life could have been if I had improved my appearance, improved my confidence in that time as well. Now, number 4, effective therapy. I already spoke about therapy in my last video. I'd highly recommend you watch that entire video. It's called Don't Listen to Alpha Males, Go to Therapy. It's fairly important. I go through the importance of therapy and why it can be beneficial, and why in order to like kind of make that next step in life and really change your identity, you need to address your traumas and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk a bit about it again, and why it's really important, especially for your college time, to really take your social life and just your personality and your new identity to like another level, basically. So there's usually free therapy on campus if you're in college, so you can definitely make the most of that. So learn about traumas and the things that could potentially be holding you back in life and in your social skills and things like that. As I said, I'll plug the video again. Don't listen to alpha males, go to therapy. Last one, I talk about it a lot, so as part of your learning, you can watch that video. So you have traumas holding you back, and those traumas are what basically dictate your self-perception of who you are. And that comes out in all different kinds of ways, subconsciously, that impact your life now and impact how people perceive you. And in turn creates your like current identity, your deep-rooted identity. And you know, in point 1, I spoke about how important it is to change your identity going into college. But your deep-rooted self-identity, how you see yourself, the thing that's guided by your traumas, that comes out in your subconscious mannerisms and your aura, I guess that's what the kids are calling it these days. It's how you see yourself deep down. And that's gonna impact how much you're able to change your like superficial identity to the world. Because everything you do, mannerisms, body language, like your subconscious stuff, your aura, that is going to be impacted by that deeper self-identity, self-perception. And that can impact how you present yourself. And it can kind of put a bottleneck on the progress of presenting yourself as this kind of alpha male to the world, if you get me. So that deeper stuff can impact the progress you make superficially. So it's important to address like the deep shit as well. Number 5, and I put this in here, avoid desperation trying to fit in with people who you just don't fit in with. When you start to make friends, you're naturally gonna have kind of a scarcity mindset. So if you were someone who wasn't popular, who didn't fit in, and you're going in with this kind of objective of being like, okay, this is going to be different, I'm going to make friends, I'm going to be popular in college, because you're not used to it, you're going to have this scarcity mindset where you're going to kind of latch on and kind of almost be desperate to latch on to the first person who kind of gives you any bit of attention. Because like when there's an opportunity to have a bit more status, to try and fit in with people who you see as cool, you're going to be desperate, you're going to try and take it. And it kind of becomes this kind of vicious cycle when it's like you're going to be desperate for people's validation to fit in, you're going to be acting desperate and needy, which is going to make you more, or it's going to make you less likely to become friends with people, because people are going to be less likely to like you, and it'll overall make you lower status in front of everyone if you just come across as desperate and just seeking validation. You will also become friends with people that you don't actually like or fit in with, and you're gonna kind of find yourself pressured to do things that you don't actually want to do, or you're not actually ready to do yet. You might end up doing drugs just to try and fit in with a group of people, or doing things you're not comfortable or you don't actually want to do. And like, that's not good. That's not good for anyone. You also become friends with people who are mean to you, that you don't actually like, or they don't actually respect you. I know when I lived in college in my first year of college, I kind of had a similar situation with my housemates. I was obsessed with this idea of kind of wanting to be friends with my housemates. I wanted to have kind of like a bond brotherhood with like your roommates. The shit you kind of see in like, you know, college American movies or like TV shows and stuff of like, yeah, getting along, being best friends with your housemates and just that kind of shit. I really wanted to make it work, but it was clear we just weren't compatible. I don't think they liked me, to be honest. I mean, some of them were nice people. Some of them I got along with most of them, but it was a couple of them probably didn't like me. So yeah, just basically don't do that. I don't know how, I don't know, but just keep in mind when you go in, keep in the back of your mind that you're probably going to be inclined to have a scarcity mindset towards social interaction and making friends. And then you could actually make friends and get along with people you actually like, who actually like you, who actually respect you, and who you're actually more compatible with. So anyway, this has been a fun video to make. Kind of painful to reminisce, but we move. Yeah. I'm so jealous of you. You can do it. You have so much potential, so much opportunity right at your doorstep right now. I want you to make the most of it. I want you to go and blossom over the next 4 or 5 years, however many years, and really make sure you create some memories that are going to be with you for the rest of your life. So yeah, don't blow it. For me. Please, don't blow it.